Okay, so what are we asking ourselves here, though? You touched on it. You said, kind of ask yourself, what are we asking ourselves
Ask
here?
yourself,
Because
what
of this
are your
point.
goals?
Okay.
And how will you dominating and being the best you can possibly be at your job help you get there?
So how does this, just sorry if I'm going back to it again, but how does this example of falling asleep at the Cirque du Soleil fit in with the growth mindset and what we're talking about?
Well, because most people are asleep at the wheel.
Okay.
They're at a job and they're in their car, they're driving to, and they're just asleep and they're crashing. And they don't understand, why did I get fired? Because you went into the ditch. Why'd you go into the ditch? Because you fell asleep. Why'd you fall asleep? Because you weren't engaged. You've got to be engaged in what you're doing. Although I'm just telling you, I feel so bad sometimes for my wife, but she'll say, baby, let's go on a we'll go camping.
Yeah.
I remember we went to Lake Powell. If you've watched this, I don't know if they still have water out there.
Yeah.
But Lake Powell, Utah, it's like this big resort, kind of like you're on a houseboat in the middle of a cavern. It's like the Grand Canyon has been flooded.
Wow.
It's kind of how the terrain looks.
Okay.
All the family's like, oh, it's great. We're at Lake Powell. Look. For some reason, the family in my mind talks like that.
Right, they all have
We're
the Mickey
great. We're
Mouse
at Lake
voice.
Powell. Look at all the water, you know. And I am literally miserable. I hate being outside. I hate being on a boat. I don't want to go in the water, and I don't want to fellowship with family about problems and things that are going on.
You're a
I want to
strange
be by
man.
myself in an office selling something. The point is, you don't be on this trip to Lake Powell and miss out on it because you're not engaged. You've got to either find your big goals and get
That's it.
engaged in the job you're at now, or you've got to be honest with yourself and say, can I ever even possibly be engaged in what I'm doing now? And if not, maybe ask your boss for a lateral move
Okay.
or something that can engage you. But don't be asleep at the wheel, because Cirque du Soleil is awesome. Lake Powell's awesome, just not for me.
Okay, so that's what you're saying, though. You really got to define those goals.
Yeah.
You got to define what you care about, figure out your why. I know you talk about that a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, if you take me to an office, like I remember I got a chance to shadow years ago a guy who's a billionaire, and I literally went to his office, and I never went outside, and we walked around and I watched him work.
That was like your dream.
And I'm like, oh man, this is so good. And I'm just taking notes, and I'm like, how do you organize your day? And he's telling me, and I'm like purring. I mean, I am purring. I'm like a purring cat. I'm just purring, and I'm starting to I'm starting
so
to like kind of like lean back. I'm trying to get him to
So
pet me.
strange.
I'm just purring
So
because
strange.
I love it so much.
Sick freak.
Yeah, but that's what I'm into.
I know.
So you got to find out whatever you're into and then be fully invested into that.
I love that. That's huge. And this whole thing we've talked about, and we'll go over the three things again. Nothing is as powerful as a changed mindset.
Boom.
Okay? 2, the growth mindset is the difference maker. And 3, you're either sleeping at Cirque du Soleil or you're loving it.
True talk. And I'll tell you, if you're watching this and you're Dan McKenna right now, or someone who knows Dan McKenna, or maybe someone who's ever met a guy named Dan, or you like the arts or theater or music or camping, I apologize. But the main thing is that you got to understand, you've got to be engaged in what you're at, or you're going to be a jerk like me who's asleep at Cirque du Soleil.
And this all plays into the growth mindset, though. And you're not going to be able to really thrive where you're at without that growth mindset.
Well, people believe that someday a better job's going to come.
No.
There's people right now who own a plumbing business who are like, well, if I was in a different industry, I'd be more engaged.
Right.
But you've got to be engaged in the job you have right now. You've got to be engaged.
And you have the capacity to grow. Like, you have it. That's our whole point here, is that we're talking about. You believe that each person actually has the ability to increase their
I don't believe it.
talents.
I know it. I know it. And if you're watching this and you don't believe it, you're wrong.
Right.
So we'll just come on down to Tulsa. We'll get a little crazy.
Whoa. I don't know if you want to do that. You saw him acting out the cat thing. He's already kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So thank you, Clay. I appreciate it. You take care. Boom.